I transmigrated into the novel as the cannon fodder legitimate daughter of the Marquis estate. Just born, the whole family is cannon fodder, the kind that won't survive past 3 chapters. Mother, the ginseng soup you're drinking is poisoned. The one who poisoned it is your trusted maid. My mother's hand trembled, and the soup bowl crashed to the floor beside the maid's feet. Dad, the stuff in your study's hidden compartment is evidence of corruption. The house will be raided tomorrow. My dad, who was teasing me, froze with a stiff smile, and that night the hidden compartment was emptied. Big brother, the one you love is a spy sent by the Crown Prince's enemy. Big brother silently took back the engagement jade pendant he had given. Second brother, the brother you trust is about to swindle all your money. Second brother immediately turned the tables and bankrupted the other party. Third brother, your imperial exam essay has been stolen and replaced. Third brother rushed to the chief examiner's door with his essay that very night. I lay comfortably in the cradle, nibbling on my fingers, while the whole family gathered around me, laughing heartily. Later, when the Crown Prince was assassinated, I was so anxious that I screamed in my heart. Behind the pillar on the left, the Imperial Guards instantly subdued the assassin. The Crown Prince stared thoughtfully at my cradle and said, "I feel that this girl and I are fated to be connected." Hello, everyone, welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now, the story begins. The midwife's hands were frighteningly steady. After she lifted me upside down, she gave a firm slap on my bottom. Wow, a piercing cry tore through the stifling atmosphere of the delivery room. Congratulations, madam, it's a daughter. The midwife's voice was deliberately high-pitched. She held me tightly in her arms and brought me close to the pale-faced lady who, Su Qingyu. The young lady looks so lively. Look, my lady. Su Qingyu weakly opened her eyes. Her gaze fell upon the wrinkled little thing in the swaddling clothes. Her eyes revealed weariness but also held a tenderness. Good child. She reached out her fingers, wanting to touch my face, yet a barely noticeable disappointment flickered in the midwife's eyes. She quickly put on a smile again. Madam, the young lady's crying. Doesn't it sound a bit weak? Ordinary children cry much louder. The midwife patted my back with a bit of urging force. Cry louder, young lady. Let the madam hear you. Cry your big head off. A clear voice suddenly exploded in my mind. Can't you see my mother is so exhausted she's about to faint? So annoying. And you, old hag, how much did concubine Liu bribe you? Always hinting that I'm unhealthy, trying to make my mother worry and harm her health. How wicked. Su Qingyu's outstretched finger abruptly halted mid-air. The tenderness on her face instantly froze. Those weary eyes suddenly widened, deep within the pupils. There was nothing but unbelievable horror. The midwife remained completely unaware. She was still vigorously shaking me. Miss, cry loudly. It's only auspicious if you cry out. Auspicious my foot. That voice roared again in Su Qingyu's mind. Keep shaking, and I swear I'll puke milk all over your face. So annoying. Just transmigrated into this book and already being tormented by an old hag. This cannon fodder start is hell-level difficulty. Su Qingyu stared fixedly at the small baby in the midwife's arms, eyes closed, tiny mouth slightly open, seemingly only capable of instinctive whimpers. Her chest heaved violently. That voice, that childish yet furious voice, it clearly came from her daughter. The midwife finally sensed that something was wrong. She held me, looking somewhat at a loss towards Su Qingyu. Madam, what's wrong? You look so pale. Su Qingyu took a deep breath. Forcing herself to calm down, she slowly withdrew her hand, her voice trembling with suppressed emotion. Give the child, she paused, to me. The midwife quickly and carefully handed over the swaddled bundle. Su Qingyu held me, a tiny, warm body. She lowered her head, gazing at her daughter's tightly closed eyes, the thick lashes like little fans. The furious voice vanished for the moment. Su Qingyu's heart felt like a deep pool into which a massive rock had been thrown. Waves of shock and turmoil were hard to calm. Marquis Dingyuan, Ji Yuzhen, strode swiftly into the main courtyard. Madam, the voice arrived before the person did. Where's my daughter? Let me see her quickly. Dressed in dark casual clothes, he swept into the warm bedroom, bringing a chill with him. His gaze instantly locked onto the swaddled baby in Su Qingyu's arms. The urgency on Ji Yuzhen's face instantly turned into a foolish grin. "Oh my little sweetheart." He rubbed his hands together and leaned in closer, yet his movements were extremely gentle, as if afraid of disturbing the sleeping little one. He extended his rough fingers and cautiously touched my cheek. "So soft, like freshly steamed milk cake." He chuckled with delight. Su Qingyu looked at him, her expression complex and inscrutable. The heart-pounding inner voice from moments ago still lingered in her mind. "Marquis," she began, then hesitated. Ji Yuzhen's full attention was on his precious daughter. He gently poked my little fist. "Look at this little hand, so strong." "Silly dad, stop being so happy." That voice came again. It struck Su Qingyue's ears with crystal clarity. "Your days of joy are over. 3 days from now, at the Imperial Study Audience, will be your death day, your good brother. The Vice Minister of War has long dug a pit waiting for you." Ji Yuzhen's fingers, which were teasing his daughter, suddenly froze mid-air. The foolish grin on his face instantly froze. He abruptly looked up, his sharp gaze shooting towards Su Qingyan. Su Qingyan's hands holding the swaddling cloth tightened imperceptibly. The couple's eyes clashed fiercely in the air, silent, raging waves. "That dog of a Vice Minister of War," I continued to curse in my mind. "Forged the secret letter of your collusion with the enemy. It's hidden in the secret compartment of your study. TSK. It's still that ingeniously crafted hidden compartment at the very bottom. You treat it like a treasure to hide, but others have long since figured it out. Tomorrow, it will coincidentally be discovered in a search. Ironclad evidence, undeniable and indefensible. Then, snap!" I silently made a beheading gesture. "The whole family goes down together. Neat and tidy." Ji Yuzhen's face visibly turned ashen. A vein throbbed faintly on his forehead. The secret compartment in the study, the one at the very bottom, no one but him knew its exact location. The Vice Minister of War, the brother he regarded as his own flesh and blood. A surge of icy fury shot from Ji Yuzhen's feet straight to the crown of his head. He suddenly stood up. The movement was so abrupt that it knocked over the round stool beside him. Clang! A loud crash. "Lord Marquis." Su Qingyu looked at him with uncertainty and alarm. Ji Yuzhen's chest heaved violently. He took several deep breaths, forcing himself to calm down. "Nothing's wrong." His voice was somewhat heavy, carrying a barely noticeable hint of killing intent. "I just remembered. There are still some urgent military matters in the study that need to be handled." He took a deep look at his daughter in the swaddling clothes, who remained completely unaware. That gaze, filled with shock and disbelief, eventually deepened into a profound intensity. "Rest well, madam." Ji Yuzhen turned and strode out with swift, determined steps. His retreating figure carried a chilling, stern coldness. The door closed behind him. Su Qingyu held me, her heart still racing wildly. She looked down at the little baby sleeping soundly in her arms. Its pink lips were slightly pouted, innocent and pure. Who would have thought? She let out a soft sigh and held her daughter a little tighter. That night, the study of the Marquis of Dingyuan remained brightly lit, until the sky began to lighten. The afternoon sun was just right. Su Qingyu leaned on the soft couch, her face still pale, but her spirits had improved somewhat. I was carefully held in her arms. "Madam," the head maid, Chundao, approached with a smile, holding a sweet white porcelain bowl. "The kitchen has just prepared bird's nest and ginseng soup, made with aged mountain ginseng. It's the best for nourishing vitality. Please have some while it's hot." The bowl was steaming with a rich ginseng aroma. Chundao was Su Qingyue's dowry maid. Having served her for many years and being the most considerate, she scooped a spoonful and gently blew on it. "Madam, be careful, it's hot." The spoon was brought to Su Qingyue's lips. Su Qingyu was just about to open her mouth. "Mother, don't drink it," my inner voice screamed. "This soup is poisoned." Su Qingyu shuddered, her lips, which were about to touch the spoon, abruptly pressed tightly together. "Chundao, that ungrateful wretch, she's been bribed by concubine Liu. They've put silken threads in the soup, a slow-acting poison. After drinking it, the body will gradually weaken, lingering on the sickbed. In the end, you'll die silently and unnoticed. Then consort Liu can be elevated to the main wife. Her son will become the legitimate heir." Su Qingyu felt a chill surge up from the soles of her feet. She looked at Chun Dao in disbelief. Chun Dao's face still wore the familiar, submissive smile tinged with a hint of concern. Madam, Chun Dao, seeing her unmoved, was somewhat puzzled. Is the ginseng smell too strong? Strong my foot. That's a death warrant, I roared inwardly. Mother, splash her. Splash it right in her face. Su Qingyu held my hand, her knuckles turning white from the force. She stared at that bowl of steaming hot soup, stared at Chuantao's seemingly honest face. Years of master-servant bond. Could it not withstand the bribery of Aunt Liu? Her heart felt as if pierced by an ice pick. Su Qingyu closed her eyes. When she opened them again, only cold determination remained in her gaze. She raised her hand, as if to take the bowl, but her wrist suddenly trembled violently. Ah! Su Qingyu exclaimed softly. Clang! The sweet white porcelain bowl flew out of her hand. The scalping ginseng soup splashed mostly onto spring peach skirt and embroidered shoes. The bowl shattered on the ground, fragments scattering everywhere. Ah! Spring peach screamed and hopped in pain from the scalding, looking utterly disheveled. The soup splashed, staining her dress. Please forgive me, madam. Su Qingyu immediately put on a panicked and guilty expression. My hands were weak, I couldn't hold it steady. Her voice was weak, filled with lingering fear. Did it scald you? Chun Dao grimaced in pain, yet dared not show the slightest hint of dissatisfaction on her face. No, it's nothing. This servant has thick skin and rough flesh. She forced a smile through the pain. It's just a pity, such a fine bowl of soup was wasted. As she looked at the mess of spilled broth and shattered pieces on the ground, a flicker of deep regret and heartache passed swiftly through her eyes. The soup is gone, so be it. Su Qingyu leaned against the soft pillow, her tone indifferent. Go change your clothes and tend to the burn. This soup, she paused, implying something. Tell the kitchen not to send any more. I have no appetite today. Chuantao's body stiffened almost imperceptibly. She quickly lowered her eyes. Yes, madam. She crouched down to pick up the fragments on the floor. Her movements were somewhat flustered. Su Qingyu no longer looked at her. She lowered her head, gently patting me in her arms. Her fingertips were icy cold. Mother is mighty. I was overjoyed. Splash her good. Scald that wicked woman to death. Now she won't dare to poison so easily. Will she? But concubine Liu surely has more tricks up her sleeve. Mother, be careful. Su Qingyu listened to her daughter's fierce yet adorable inner thoughts, feeling the warmth from the tiny body in her arms. The heart that had been frozen by betrayal was slowly warming up. She held me tightly without a word. By the waterside pavilion in the Marquis's garden, Jiyu Yunjing, the eldest son of the Jiyu family, stood with his hands behind his back. His posture was as upright as a slender bamboo. His features handsome and striking, yet at this moment, his brow was slightly furrowed as he gazed at the fish swimming in the pond, seemingly lost in thought. A soft jingling of jade ornaments was heard, accompanied by an elegant fragrance of orchids. Brother Zheng, a soft and melodious female voice called out. I was being held by my wet nurse, basking in the sun under the veranda. Upon hearing the sound, I immediately perked up my little ears. Here comes trouble. My heart immediately sounded the alarm. Big Brother's death warrant is here. The White Lotus female lead, Lin Wana. Jiyu Yunjing turned at the sound, the ice on his face instantly melting away. Wana, his voice softened. Lin Wana approached with graceful, delicate steps. She wore a moon-white ruchuan embroidered with orchids. Her makeup was exquisite, and her eyes were filled with affection. Truly a delicate and charming little white flower. Brother Zheng. She walked up to Jiyu Yunjing, slightly tilting her head to look at him. Her eyes seemed to hold endless tenderness. Are you still angry with me? Her voice carried a hint of choked grievance. At yesterday's poetry gathering, I didn't mean to speak so much with young Master Li. It's just that, he asked about that ode to the orchid poem. Jiyu Yunjing looked at her tearful expression, and his gaze softened. Wana, how could I ever truly be angry with you? He sighed, taking a velvet brocade box from his sleeve. Look. What have I brought for you? The box opened. Inside lay a flawless white jade pendant. The jade was warm and flawless, carved with a pattern of twin lotus flowers. It looked incredibly valuable at first glance. This, Lin Wanna's eyes instantly sparkled with delight. She extended her slender, jade-like hand, wanting to touch the pendant. "Don't touch it, big brother. Take it back quickly," I screamed inwardly. This jade pendant is her token to curry favor with the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince is the 7th Prince's mortal enemy. Big brother, the 7th Prince is the true son of heaven. You gave her the token of love. And she immediately presented it to the Crown Prince to show her loyalty. The Crown Prince's men took your jade pendant and immediately framed you for colluding with him. Even if you jumped into the Yellow River, you couldn't wash yourself clean. Jiyu Yunjing's hand holding the brocade box trembled violently. The tenderness on his face instantly froze. His gaze, sharp as a blade, suddenly pierced towards Lin Wanna. Lin Wanna was startled by his sudden icy glare. Her outstretched hand froze mid-air. "Brother Zheng," she called out timidly, her eyes quickly welling up with tears. What's wrong with you?" Jiyu Yunjing stared at her intently. "Wanna defected to the Crown Prince, holding his token, to curry favor with the Crown Prince, then turn around and frame him for colluding with the Crown Prince." A chilling coldness crept up his spine, spreading throughout his body. He recalled yesterday's poetry gathering. Wanna and that close aide of the Crown Prince, young Master Li, were indeed chatting and laughing merrily, thoroughly enjoying their conversation. At the time, he only found it grating to the eye, but he hadn't thought deeply about it. "Elder brother, wake up, I'm burning with anxiety. Her affection for you is fake. She only wants to use you to get close to the Crown Prince. Her true master is the 7th Prince's sworn enemy. She is a dagger plunged into your heart." Jiyu Yunjing closed his eyes. When he opened them again, the raging storm in his gaze had been forcibly suppressed. Only the bottomless cold pool remained. He snapped the brocade box shut with a sharp snap. His movements were swift and precise. Lin Wanna's outstretched hand fell empty, awkwardly suspended in mid-air. "Brother Zheng," her eyes welled with tears, her grievance growing even deeper. Jiyu Yunjing expressionlessly tucked the brocade box back into his sleeve. "This jade pendant," he said, his voice cold and unyielding, betraying no emotion. "I suddenly feel it is unworthy of Wanna's pure heart and noble character. I will find a better one to give you another day." The color drained completely from Lin Wanna's face. She looked at Jiyu Yunjing in disbelief, unable to understand why his attitude had changed so suddenly. "Brother Zheng, did Wanna do something wrong?" Her voice trembled as tears streamed down her face. Jiyu Yunjing averted his gaze, unwilling to look at her tear-streaked face. "You're not wrong," he said in a flat, emotionless tone. "It was me who misunderstood." He turned away, no longer looking at her. "There are still important matters at the residence. Sister Wanna, please help yourself." Having said that, he strode away from the waterside pavilion. His departing figure was resolute, without a trace of reluctance. Lin Wanna stood alone by the water's edge, the tear stains on her face still fresh. His eyes gradually turned cold, filled with unwillingness and venom. "Big bro, well done," I cheered inwardly. "Stay away from toxic women, live a long life. You still need to work on your expression management." That look just now almost froze that little white flower into an ice sculpture. The wet nurse held me, looking somewhat bewildered at the retreating figure of the eldest young master. I opened my toothless mouth and smiled silently. West courtyard of the Marquis's residence. The training ground, weapons gleamed coldly on the racks. Jiyu Yunfei, the second son of the Jiyu family, dressed in a neat martial outfit, was practicing with his spear. The silver spear moved like a dragon, swift and powerful. Sweat trickled down his sharply defined jawline. "Excellent. Second brother's marksmanship has grown even more precise." A cheer rang out from the edge of the field. A young man, dressed in brocade robes with slicked back hair and a powdered face, approached while clapping his hands. "This is the illegitimate son of the Vice Minister of Revenue, Zhao Tianbao." Jiyu Yunfei retracted his spear, breathing slightly heavily, a bright smile spreading across his face. "Tianbao, what brings you here?" Zhao Tianbao familiarly slung his arm over Jiyu Yunfei's shoulder. "I miss you, brother Yunfei." He lowered his voice, full of mystery and excitement. "Brother, I just got some incredible news. A new batch of spices from the South Seas just arrived at the West City docks. The quality is excellent, but the price is ridiculously low." It's an opportunity not to be missed. Let's team up and take this batch of goods. Once we resell them, we'll make at least 3 times the profit. Jiu Yunfei's eyes lit up. Really? Absolutely true. Zhao Tianbao thumped his chest. The goods are in the warehouse at the dock. I've inspected them all. It's just that the seller is in a hurry to sell. Only wants cash. I'm short on funds. I can only scrape together 5,000 taels. He looked eagerly at Jiu Yunfei. Brother Yunfei, you put up 25,000 taels. Once we make money, we'll split it 50-50. It's a surefire deal with no risk of loss. Lose, you'll lose everything. Second brother. I screamed inwardly. That bastard Zhao Tianbao is screwing you over. That batch of South Sea spices is moldy old stock. It's been fumigated with sulfur. It looks fresh and smells fragrant, but it falls apart the moment it touches water. He's been in cahoots with the seller all along. Your 25,000 taels of silver, gone in the blink of an eye. He even hypocritically gave you a bit of profit to keep you calm, then ran off immediately. You lost everything, and he's out there calling you a fool. Jiu Yunfei's smile instantly froze on his face. His hand on the rifle barrel suddenly clenched tight. His knuckles turned white. Zhao Tianbao, completely unaware, was still enthusiastically painting his dream of getting rich. With this money, brother Yunfei, haven't you always wanted to trade for a fine steed from the western regions, and the new top courtesan at the Drunken Immortal Pavilion? Top courtesan, my foot. I inwardly sneered. All your money is going into his pocket. He even uses your money to keep a mistress, mocking you for being a foolish spendthrift with more money than sense. Jiu Yunfei's gaze gradually turned cold. He stared at Zhao Tianbao's gleeful, animated face, the face he had considered that of a good brother. At this moment, I just feel utterly hypocritical and disgusting. Tianbao, Jiu Yunfei suddenly spoke, cutting off his incessant chatter. This deal does sound pretty good. Zhao Tianbao was delighted. Of course, would I ever trick you? Brother, a cold, sharp curve lifted at the corner of Jiu Yunfei's lips. However, 25,000 taels, that's too large a sum. I need to see the goods in person. Zhao Tianbao's smile faltered for a moment, then quickly returned to his face. Of course, it's better to be cautious. The goods are in warehouse No. 3 at the dock. I'll go with you. Go now, not in a hurry. Jiu Yunfei waved his hand. He walked over to the weapon rack, picked up a cloth, and wiped his sweat. His movements were slow and deliberate. I trust you, he said, looking at Zhao Tianbao. In that case, I'll offer 30,000 taels directly. Eat it all. Zhao Tianbao's eyes instantly widened, overwhelmed with ecstasy. Brother Yunfei, you're the best, he exclaimed, his voice trembling with excitement. However, Jiu Yunfei's tone suddenly shifted. I can't gather that much cash on such short notice. I'll give you the deeds to those 2 prime shops in the eastern part of the city as collateral. I'll redeem them as soon as the goods are sold. Interest will be paid as usual. What do you say? The ecstasy on Zhao Tianbao's face froze for an instant. The deed to the house. What he wanted was real gold and silver. Jiu Yunfei looked at him. What? Don't you trust me, Jiu Yunfei? Still don't trust the shops under the Marquis of Dingyuan's estate. You know exactly how prime the location of those 2 shops is and how much they're worth. Zhao Tianbao's eyes darted rapidly. Prime properties in the east of the city, they're indeed valuable, worth far more than 30,000 taels, and with the backing of the Marquis of Dingyuan's estate, the goods are fake, but the shop is real. Get the deed, then sell it off in a flash. Zhao Tianbao's heart raced wildly. Trustworthy, of course, I trust you. He immediately made the decision. Brother Yunfei's character, I, Zhao Tianbao, have complete confidence in. A trace of cold mockery flashed in Jiu Yunfei's eyes. Okay, wait a moment, I'll go get the property deed. Jiu Yunfei turned and left the training ground. Zhao Tianbao watched his retreating figure, rubbing his hands together. His face flushed with excitement. Idiot, I cursed inwardly. Those 2 shops were already mortgaged by my father to the Ministry of Revenue to cover last year's military pay deficit. The property deed, worthless paper, it's already filed with the Ministry of Revenue. Just wait until you take that fake deed to transfer the property. Half an hour later, Zhao Tianbao, holding 2 freshly inked property deeds, left in high spirits. Jiu Yunfei stood by the training ground, expressionless. In his hand, he held a copy of the Ministry of Revenue's debt settlement document, just taken from his father's study. It clearly stated the name and location of the pawn shop. It was exactly the two shops he had pawned to Zhao Tianbao. Jiu Yunfei let out a cold laugh. He crumpled the document in his hand into a tight paper ball and casually tossed it into the nearby water jar. The paper ball quickly soaked through and sank. Second brother did a great job, giving him a taste of his own medicine. I mentally applauded. Now that bastard Zhao Tianbao has nowhere to cry. Still trying to scam my second brother out of his money, making you lose both the counterfeit goods and your men. The night grew deeper, and all was silent. In the study of the small courtyard to the east of the Marquis's residence, the lamplight still shone brightly. The window paper cast a slender silhouette of a young man hunched over his desk, studying diligently. It was the third son of the Jiu family, Jiu Yunlang. He was 16 this year and had just finished the autumn imperial examinations. At this moment, he was facing a meticulously transcribed examination paper. His brow was tightly furrowed as he repeatedly and carefully scrutinized the essay on the exam paper. Not right, he muttered under his breath, pointing at a particular passage. Here, the allusion cited seems to be incorrect, and this policy argument, it feels like something is missing. He rubbed his throbbing temples, feeling somewhat irritable. Could it be that I remembered wrong? But during the exam, I clearly felt like I answered decently. He sighed and pushed the test paper aside, picking up another scroll to review. Third brother, you remembered correctly. I was so anxious inside, I could hardly stand still. Your exam paper was swapped. It was that scoundrel Zhu Tong from the Imperial Academy who did it. He bribed the clerk in charge of transcribing and swapped your exam paper with his. This worthless nonsense in your hands now is his. Your brilliant essay is now signed with his name. On the day the results were posted, it was he who topped the list as the top candidate, and you, Jiu Yunlang, became the laughingstock of failure. He trampled on your scholarly achievements to climb the ranks. You were kept in the dark, thinking you simply performed poorly. Spitting blood 3 sheng, Jiu Yunlang's hand holding the scroll suddenly tightened. His knuckles turned white from the force. The exam paper had been swapped. Zhu Tong, that classmate who was usually polite to him, even somewhat ingratiating, a surge of icy rage instantly swept through his entire body. He abruptly stood up. The movement was too hasty, knocking over the chair behind him. Bang! The chair crashed to the ground with a loud bang. The night watchman outside was startled. Third young master, are you all right? The servant inquired from outside the door. Jiu Yunlang's chest heaved violently. He stared fixedly at the exam paper on the table that was supposedly his own. His gaze was sharp enough to burn through it. It's nothing. His voice was hoarse with restraint. I accidentally knocked over a chair. He forced himself to calm down. Don't panic. Don't startle the snake in the grass. He took a deep breath, bent down, and picked up the chair. He sat back down at the desk. Once again, he picked up that exam paper. This time, he examined it with extreme care, scrutinizing every single word. The more he looked, the colder his heart grew. There were just too many flaws. The writing style is off. The literary strength is off. The obscure allusions cited are full of errors and omissions. This absolutely cannot be Jiu Yunlang's article. Before, it was just a vague suspicion that something was missing. Now, guided by an inner voice, it suddenly becomes clear, full of flaws, shocking to the eye. A raging fury of being deceived and robbed burned fiercely in his chest. He slammed the test paper shut. A cold gleam shot from his eyes. Third brother, don't be angry. I quickly tried to soothe him. It's not too late to discover it now. Chief Examiner Elder Shu hates examination fraud the most. And he's at his residence tonight. Dad is treating him to a drink. Hurry, take your drafts, and the articles you usually write. Expose that Jew fellow on the spot. Grand Secretary Shu has a sharp eye. He can tell the real from the fake at a glance. Jiu Yunlang suddenly looked up. Elder Shu is at the residence. He hesitated no longer. He yanked open the drawer and pulled out a thick stack of draft papers filled with writing. There are still a few of his usual proud works, clutched tightly in his hand. He pulled open the study door and rushed out in large strides, his figure swift as the wind, merging into the night. Goal: the front hall where father entertains distinguished guests. Charge: third brother, reclaim your scholarly honor. I cheered inwardly. Make that essay thief lose both reputation and status. 06 The whole family laughed. The heated chamber was warmed by a well-stoked floor furnace. Su Qingyu held me, wrapped in a soft swaddling cloth. Sitting in a rocking chair padded with thick brocade cushions, Ji Yuzhen sat in an armchair nearby, holding a volume of military strategy in his hand, yet his gaze drifted over to us from time to time. Ji Yunjing was meticulously wiping his sword by the window. Ji Yunfei sat with his legs crossed, cracking walnuts with a crisp sound. Ji Yunlang, on the other hand, sat by a small table in the corner with a book spread open in front of him. Though his gaze seemed somewhat distant, the atmosphere was subtly quiet, only the sound of me gnawing on my own fingers. Munch, munch, I was happily gnawing away when I suddenly felt several pairs of eyes fixed on me. I stopped what I was doing, my dark, glossy eyes darting around in confusion. Father, mother, elder brother, second brother, third brother, all staring at me. The look is a bit strange. There's curiosity, inquisitiveness, gratitude, and, holding back laughter. Why are you looking at me? I muttered to myself. Is there a flower on my face? Or is it because I look too cool biting my fingers? Su Qingyu couldn't help but curl the corners of her mouth upward. She quickly lowered her head and gently nuzzled my forehead with her cheek. Hiding her smile, Ji Yuzhen cleared his throat and once again focused his gaze on the military manual. Except, the book seemed to be upside down. Ji Yunjing's sword-polishing movements grew more forceful. The blade gleamed coldly. Ji Yunfei tossed the shelled walnut into his mouth, chewing it with a crisp crunch. Ahem. Ji Yunlang also pretended to flip a page of his book. What's going on? I'm a bit confused. Everyone's being so mysterious, like a mouse that stole oil. But, I rolled my eyes. Seems like all the crises have been resolved. Mother didn't drink the poisoned soup, and father's secret compartment in the study is empty. Eldest brother's jade pendant wasn't given away. Second brother's money is safe. Third brother's scholarly honor has also been reclaimed. Our whole family is safe. No need to report to the execution ground altogether. Great. The more I thought about it, the happier I became. I couldn't help but grin with my toothless little mouth. Hey. Laughter escaped. Drool trickled down the corner of the mouth. Silly. In the warm chamber, Ji Yuzhen, who had been trying hard to maintain his composure, his shoulders began to tremble suspiciously. He abruptly raised the military manual and buried his face in it. Su Qingyu held me. Her body trembling slightly, she buried her face in my swaddling clothes, which carried the scent of milk. A muffled laugh still escaped. Phut! Ji Yunjing by the window couldn't hold back. He quickly turned his face away, his shoulders shaking with laughter. Ha ha ha! Ji Yunfei slapped his thigh and burst out laughing. So hilarious, reporting to the execution ground, all neat and orderly. Ha ha ha! Ji Yunlang couldn't hold back either. He put down the book, pressed his hand to his forehead, and laughed so hard his shoulders shook. In the warm room, the air was filled with joy. The whole family was laughing uproariously. I lay in my mother's arms, watching them burst into inexplicable laughter, utterly bewildered. What are you laughing at? I thought, feeling completely lost. Is there really a flower on my face? Or is it just that the drool flows too artistically? Never mind, I gave up thinking, continued happily gnawing on my fingers. Munch, munch. Days passed one by one. The Marquis's residence was peaceful and harmonious. I had truly become the apple of the family's eye. The first thing father did after returning from court was to come and hold me, rubbing his stubbled chin against my face. It tickled so much that I giggled uncontrollably. Dad, your beard is prickly. Protest, I screamed inwardly. Ji Yuzhen immediately flustered and held me at arm's length. All right, father won't prick my little lucky star. Mother's gaze at me was so tender it could drip with affection. She breastfed me herself every day. Mother smells so sweet. I nuzzled contentedly. Su Qingyu's smile grew even warmer. The eldest brother, Ji Yunjing, became quiet and withdrawn. Yet his gaze always followed me in the cradle, filled with curiosity and awe. Big bro, don't be so serious. I blew bubbles at him. Smile, and you'll look 10 years younger. Jiyu Yunjing stiffly tugged at the corners of his mouth. It looked worse than crying. Second brother Jiyu Yunfei has completely turned into a sister-obsessed maniac. Look, my sister, with such a full forehead, clearly destined for great wealth and honor. Listen, my sisters laugh, like silver bells. Even more beautiful than the top singer at Drunken Immortal Pavilion. Second brother, stop it, I sighed inwardly. That's a dangerous metaphor. Jiyu Yunfei immediately shut his mouth, scratching his head sheepishly. Third brother, Jiyu Yunlang, he became the new top scholar in the provincial exam. Grand Tutor Shu personally called my name. He looked at me as if I were a gleaming little deity. Go for it, third brother. The top scholar title is waving at you. I cheered him on. Jiyu Yunlang nodded vigorously and studied even harder. That day, the royal family held the spring hunt. The Marquis of Dingyuan's household was naturally among those accompanying them. I was too young and was left behind at the palace retreat, cared for by my mother and the nursemaid. Outside, the drums and music roared, and the hooves of horses thundered. I lay in the cradle, utterly bored. So boring, I yawned. Shouldn't the crown prince be assassinated by now? In the dense forest at the southeast corner of the hunting grounds, the assassin disguised himself as a palace guard and hid among the hunting party. He used a poisoned dart from his sleeve, one dart to the throat. By the cradle, Su Qingyu, gently fanning me, her wrist suddenly trembled. The fan nearly slipped from her hand, her face instantly turned deathly pale. The crown prince has been assassinated. The hunting grounds. She abruptly stood up. Someone come. The voice carried an unprecedented urgency. Quick, go find the Marquis. Extremely urgent. Southeast corner of the hunting grounds, at the edge of the dense forest. Banners fluttered, drums and horns sounded in unison. The crown prince, clad in bright yellow riding attire, sat tall upon his steed, full of vigor and spirit. Jiyu Zhen, as one of the imperial guards, rode his horse closely beside the crown prince. His eyes vigilantly scanned the surroundings. A team of imperial guards was escorting several carts loaded with freshly hunted deer and roe deer. Emerging from the dense forest, the carts rumbled forward, moving closer to the crown prince. The troops were in neat formation, their armor gleaming. Everything appeared to be in perfect order. Jiyu Zhen's gaze swept over the imperial guards who were bowing their heads. Nothing unusual was detected. At this very moment, a specially crafted, thin jade piece hidden close to his body suddenly grew slightly warm. Jiyu Zhen's pupils abruptly contracted. This was given to him by the lady this morning. She said it was a protective charm. She also warned him, if the jade piece grows hot, something major is bound to happen. Stay alert. At the time, he laughed it off, thinking the lady was being overly anxious. Now, the jade piece was scorching hot. He suddenly looked up. His gaze was as sharp as lightning, staring intently at the approaching transport convoy. The soldier pushing the cart at the front, he kept his head down, his step steady. But Jiyu Zhen's battlefield instincts told him, killing intent, an extremely subtle, yet deadly killing intent, was emanating from that person. The target directly aimed at the crown prince. Jiyu Zhen's entire body tensed up in an instant. His hand was already on the hilt of the knife at his waist. Almost simultaneously, a young and urgent scream seemed to explode directly in his mind. Left, the one pushing the cart behind the left pillar. That's him. Sleeve arrow, poison arrow. Father, stop him quickly. He's about to raise his hand. Left, the cart-pushing soldier. Jiyu Zhen's nerves were stretched to the breaking point. He saw it clearly. Just as the soldier leaned forward slightly with the jolting of the cart, his right hand hanging by his side, lifted with lightning speed at an extremely concealed angle, a cold glint flashed from his sleeve, aimed straight at the crown prince's heart. Protect his majesty. Jiyu Zhen's roar was like a thunderclap. It echoed throughout the hunting grounds. He leaped into the air from his horse, like a giant eagle soaring through the sky, with the force of 1,000 jun. He pounced fiercely on the soldier pushing the cart. Bang! A dull thud of impact. Jiyu Zhen's iron tower-like body sent the assassin flying with a powerful collision. The two tumbled to the ground. A cold gleam flashed from the assassin's sleeve. A pitch-black short arrow shot out with a thwack. It deeply embedded itself into the shaft of a wooden cart loaded with game nearby. The arrow's tail is still quivering, deadly poison, touch of death, it all happened in the blink of an eye. So fast that no one could react in time, only then did the surrounding Imperial Guards snap out of their daze. Assassin, protect the Crown Prince, seize him, the sound of swords being drawn, furious roars, and the neighing of horses instantly erupted into chaos. Chaos erupted, the Crown Prince's face was deathly pale, his spirit not yet settled from the shock. In that moment just now, the aura of death felt so close. He stared at the assassin, pinned firmly beneath Ji Yuzhen. Struggling frantically, he then looked at the poison arrow, nailed to the carriage shaft, gleaming with a faint blue light. Cold sweat instantly soaked through the clothes on his back. The detached palace garden, the atmosphere was so tense it felt like water could be wrung from it. Imperial physician, commander of the Imperial Guard, and high-ranking ministers accompanying the emperor, crowded the front hall. The Crown Prince had changed out of his riding attire, his face still somewhat pale. But his gaze was sharp. He inquired in detail about the capture of the assassin. Ji Yuzhen knelt on one knee and reported in a deep voice, "I noticed that the soldier pushing the cart was behaving strangely, with a hidden murderous intent. Just as I was about to step forward to question him, he suddenly launched an attack. Fortunately, I managed to tackle him in time, and the poisoned arrow missed, sparing your highness from harm." Ji Yuzhen's reply was flawless. He made no mention of the jade piece heating up, nor of that heart-stopping inner voice. The Crown Prince listened quietly, fingers unconsciously caressed a warm dragon-patterned jade pendant at the waist. His gaze fell on Ji Yuzhen, carrying a deep sense of inquiry. "Lord Dingyuan, your merit in rescuing me today. I have taken note of it. Generous reward. Thank you, your highness." Ji Yuzhen kowtowed. The Crown Prince waved his hand, dismissed the attendants. Only Ji Yuzhen remained. The hall was left with only two people. The Crown Prince stood up and walked to the window, looking out into the courtyard. Su Qingyu was walking along the veranda with a small swaddled baby in her arms. The sunlight bathed them in a serene and peaceful tranquility. The Crown Prince's gaze lingered for a long time on the swaddling clothes. "Minister Ji Yu," the Crown Prince suddenly spoke, his voice very soft, "I am quite curious. Why were you staring at that soldier pushing the cart today? It is common for the Imperial Guards to transport prey. How did he catch your attention?" Ji Yuzhen felt a chill in his heart. He lowered his head and replied steadily, "Your Highness, it is merely intuition, intuition." The Crown Prince turned around, a faint, elusive smile playing at the corner of his lips. Yet his gaze was as sharp as a blade. "What an intuition! My life hangs on this single thread of intuition from Minister Ji Yu." Ji Yuzhen broke out in a cold sweat on his back. "Your humble servant is terrified." The Crown Prince paced over to him. "I have also heard." His voice grew softer, carrying a strange tone. "This 1-month-old daughter of your esteemed household, quite some extraordinary features." Ji Yuzhen suddenly looked up. He met the Crown Prince's unfathomable eyes, which seemed to see through everything. A chill instantly shot from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. The Crown Prince knows. How could he know? Ji Yuzhen's throat tightened. His palms drenched in cold sweat. "Your Highness." His voice was hoarse. The Crown Prince raised his hand, stopping his words. He looked out the window once more, gazing at the small, innocent infant in Su Qingyu's arms. His expression was complex. There was shock, there was astonishment, there was disbelief. Eventually, it transformed into an indescribable fervor. "Lord Ji Yu, there's no need to be nervous." The Crown Prince withdrew his gaze, a gentle smile returning to his face. "I just feel." He paused, then spoke clearly, word by word. "This woman and I are connected by fate." Ji Yuzhen's heart sank abruptly. 1 month later, Dingyuan Marquis Manor, the warm chamber. The atmosphere was somewhat delicate. I lay in a cradle padded with soft brocade, struggling to kick my little short legs. By the cradle, a circle of people gathered around. Father Ji Yuzhen, Mother Su Qingyu, eldest brother Ji Yu Yunjing, second brother Ji Yu Yunfei, third brother Ji Yu Yunlang. Everyone's faces were tense, as if facing a formidable enemy, because, across from them, sat someone who absolutely should not have been here, the Crown Prince of the current dynasty, Xiao Jingheng. He was dressed in a moon-white casual robe, exuding an air of noble elegance, yet at this moment, he showed no airs at all, holding a golden, gem-encrusted rattle. He was amusing me in the cradle with great interest. "Little Lucky Star, look here, ding-dong, ding-dong." The rattle made a crisp sound. I blinked my big eyes, staring curiously at that shiny thing. Wow, a gold-plated rattle, I marveled inwardly. Must be worth a lot, right? This crown prince, is he foolish and rich? The crown prince's teasing movements paused almost imperceptibly. The corner of his mouth twitched slightly. Su Qingyu looked at her daughter nervously, then glanced at the prince. Her palms were sweating. Ji Yuzhen's entire body was tense with tension. Always be prepared for unexpected situations. The crown prince, however, seemed completely unaware. He put down the rattle, then picked up an exquisite jade bell, gently shook, ding-ling, a pleasant sound. The sound is nice, I commented. The jade quality is passable, but compared to the mutton-fat jade paperweight in my father's study, it seems slightly lacking. Ji Yuzhen's eyelids twitched violently. Study, mutton-fat jade paperweight. That was his private treasure. How did the crown prince know? He abruptly looked toward the crown prince. The crown prince's expression remained unchanged, only the smile in his eyes deepened slightly. He set down the jade bell, leaning down. He drew closer to the cradle. That strikingly handsome face loomed larger before my eyes. He looked at me. I looked at him too. We stared at each other, wide-eyed. "What's up?" I muttered to myself, "Trying to dazzle me with your looks. Although, it really is quite good-looking." The crown prince's eyes brimmed with even deeper amusement. It was almost overflowing. He extended his finger, as if he wanted to touch my cheek. The four members of the Jiyu family by the cradle held their breath simultaneously. Jiyu Yunzheng's hand was already resting at his waist. Though he wasn't carrying a sword, Jiyu Yunfei clenched his fist. Jiyu Yunlang held his breath. Jiyu Zhen took another half-step forward. The atmosphere instantly became extremely tense. Just as the crown prince's finger was about to touch my cheek, it stopped. He looked into my pure, untainted eyes. Suddenly, he spoke in a low voice. His voice was soft, carrying a hint of barely noticeable coaxing. "Little Lucky Star, tell me, my seventh brother, when will he rebel?" Boom. This sentence struck like a thunderbolt. It struck the entire Jiyu family like a thunderbolt. Su Qingyue's face instantly turned deathly pale. Ji Yuzhen's pupils constricted sharply. The three brothers of the Jiyu family were even more horrified. The crown prince asked when the seventh prince would rebel. Is this something we should be listening to? This is a crime punishable by the execution of 9 generations. Damn it. The entire Jiyu family was terrified to the core. Despair instantly seized them. In the cradle, I stared blankly at the prince's handsome face so close to mine. My small mouth slightly agape, let out a big yawn. "Yarav, I'm sleepy. The seventh prince is rebelling." "What rebellion are you talking about?" "They're busy providing disaster relief and winning over the people in Jiangnan. Who has time to rebel?" "Crown Prince, you're just being paranoid." So sleepy." My eyelids began to feel heavy. My little head tilted to the side, amid the deathly silence in the room and the horrified gazes of the Jiyu family. Under the prince's deep and inscrutable gaze, sweetly, fell asleep, even smacked those little lips. In the warm chamber, you could hear a pin drop. Only the sound of my even, faint breathing remained. The crown prince slowly straightened up. He looked at the small infant sleeping soundly in the cradle. He slowly swept his gaze over the ashen-faced members of the Jiyu family. A long while passed. He suddenly let out a low, soft laugh. The laughter was filled with delight. It shattered the suffocating dead silence. Interesting, truly interesting. He took one last look at me, fast asleep, turned around. His moonlit figure drifted away, leaving the entire Jiyu family behind. They looked at each other in dismay. Cold sweat soaked through their clothes. A gust of wind blew. Chilled to the bone. Huff, huff. I was sleeping soundly, completely unaware. I had just been at death's door, fiercely, yet adorably, strolled around for a bit. The crown prince has departed. The warm chamber was dead silent. Ji Yuzhen's back was completely drenched in sweat. Did he hear? Su Qingyue's voice trembled. He must have heard it. Jiyu Yunfei's face turned pale. The matter of the seventh prince. Jiyu Yunjing's expression was grave. He asked so directly. Jiyu Yunlang said with lingering fear. I turned over and continued to sleep soundly. Huff, huff. The crown prince is so annoying, disturbing the baby's sleep. The whole family. Jiyu Zhen wiped off a cold sweat. Loose lips sink ships, he warned in a low voice. From now on, in front of Fu Bao, everyone must watch their words and actions. Not a single word out of line is allowed. The whole family nodded frantically. They looked at the cradle with terrified eyes. This little ancestor. One word from him could mean the execution of the entire clan. Daddy is so noisy, I muttered. Jiyu Zhen immediately shut his mouth. The whole family held their breath, afraid of waking me up. Before I could say anything earth-shattering, sleeping is still more comfortable, I smacked my lips. There's no foolish crown prince in my dreams. The whole family. Is the crown prince a foolish crown prince? Can such words be spoken? Su Qingyu quickly patted me gently. Good baby, sleep, sleep, stop it, ancestors. The next day, rewards from the crown prince's residence flowed like a stream into the marquis's mansion. Gold, jade, antiques, and fine silks, they filled half the courtyard. His Highness says, the eunuch said with a smile, a little toy for the young princess, just something to play with. The whole family looked at that something to play with, a treasure. My eyelids are twitching. His Highness also said. The eunuch leaned closer to Jiyu Zhen. He will come to visit the little princess another day. Jiyu Zhen's alarm bells went off. Again, the eunuch left. Jiyu Zhen looked at the courtyard full of rewards, his brows furrowed into a deep frown. The weasel goes to pay respects to the hen. Jiyu Yunfei curled his lips, showing kindness for no reason. Jiyu Yunlang frowned. He's got his eye on Fu Bao. Jiyu Yunjing said coldly. Su Qingyu was deeply worried. His grip on my hand tightened. Wow, so shiny. My heart leaped with joy. That gold necklace. So big. Will it break if I hang it around my neck? The whole family. Is this the focus? That jade-carved little rabbit. So adorable. Want to take a bite? Su Qingyu quickly moved the jade rabbit further away. Sweetie, you can't chew on this. Oh, I'm a bit disappointed. Although the crown prince is foolish, he's quite generous with gifts. The whole family gasped in shock. He's calling the crown prince a fool again. Jiyu Zhen quickly waved his hand. Hurry, put it away quickly, lock it in the storeroom. Don't let Fu Bao play with any of them. Can't afford to offend, then avoid. What you fear most is bound to happen. The Empress's birthday. The noblewoman brought the ladies of the household into the palace to offer birthday congratulations. She specifically asked to see the lucky star little princess. Su Qingyu held me. Her palms were drenched in sweat. Jiyu Zhen's expression was grave. Play it by ear. If Fu Bao speaks, cover it up at all costs. Fengyi Palace. Flowers bloom in splendid profusion, their fragrance overwhelming. The Empress sits dignified and smiling. The Crown Prince sits below. His gaze drifted toward me, faint and elusive. So many people. I looked around curiously. The scent of perfume is so strong. Achoo. Su Qingyu quickly patted my back gently. The little princess is truly as lovely as jade and snow, the Empress said with a smile. Bring her to me for a closer look. Su Qingyu's heart leaped into her throat. She carefully handed me over. The queen held me in her arms. The strong fragrance on her made me dizzy. So dizzy. I frowned with my little face. What kind of scent is this? Cheap mosquito repellent. My queen in my arms stiffened. The smile was a bit hard to maintain. The crown prince clenched his fist and pressed it to his lips. He cleared his throat lightly. His shoulders shook suspiciously. It seems the little princess is shy. The Empress quickly resumed her smile. Handing me back to Su Qingyu had just breathed a sigh of relief. The crown prince suddenly spoke. Mother Empress, I find the young princess to be remarkably intelligent. Perhaps, his gaze fell upon me. Have the imperial astronomer cast her horoscope, to see what fortune she has? The entire hall fell silent instantly. Cast a horoscope. Should we have the director of the imperial observatory personally review it? This level of formality. Su Qingyu's face turned deathly pale. Jiyu Zhen clenched his fist tightly. This is putting Fu Bao on the hot seat. Fortune-telling. I wondered inwardly. To see if I can survive past the age of 3. No need to tell my fortune. My fate is mine to decide. not heaven's. I've read the book, I know the script. Su Qingyu, who was holding me, trembled. She almost dropped me. A glint of sharp light flashed in the Crown Prince's eyes. Transmigrating into a book, a script, just as I thought. A confident smile curled at the corner of his lips. It settled then. Summon the director of the Imperial Observatory, the white-bearded old man, the director of the Imperial Observatory. Trembling, he arrived, holding my birth chart. He slowly extended his fingers to begin the calculation. His brow furrowed more and more tightly as he calculated. His forehead began to sweat from the tension. This fate, he muttered to himself, purple clouds from the east. A sign of great fortune beyond words, yet, shrouded in thick mist, as if the secrets of heaven are being concealed. He raised his head to look at me, eyes flickering with doubt and suspicion. Old man, stop calculating. I muttered inwardly, it won't be accurate, I'm a bug. The director of the Imperial Observatory's hand trembled. He nearly pulled out his own beard. He suddenly widened his eyes, staring at me intently, as if he had seen a ghost. What are you looking at? I'm a bit annoyed. Haven't you seen such a cute bug before? The director of the Imperial Observatory, his lips trembled slightly. Your Highness, the little princess's fate is far too extraordinary. This humble subject is of limited knowledge and shallow learning. I truly cannot fathom it. He dropped to his knees with a thud, sweat poured down like rain. The Crown Prince's gaze was profound. Can't figure it out. Is it a sign of unparalleled nobility, or an omen of chaos and disaster? His voice carried a tone of pressure. The head of the Imperial astronomer knocked on the ground. Expensive, extremely expensive, exceedingly expensive. But the secrets of heaven cannot be fully discerned. This old minister is filled with trepidation. The Crown Prince fell silent for a moment, waving a hand. Go on, leave. The Imperial astronomer felt as if granted a great pardon. Scrambling away in a frantic rush, the Empress seemed lost in thought. The Crown Prince looks at me. His gaze grows even more intense, as if looking at a rare treasure. TSK, that look, I mutter to myself. As if they want to slice me up for research. Scary. Mother, run quickly. Su Qingyu quickly held me tight. Your Majesty the Empress, Your Highness, Fu Bao is tired. I shall take my leave first. Jiu Zhen immediately stepped forward, protecting his wife and daughter. They fled the Phoenix Palace as if escaping. The crown, travel-worn and weary, yet it couldn't conceal the noble and refined aura of the seventh son. His expression was complex. Jiangnan, you've worked hard. It is my duty, Your Majesty. Xiao Jingyan's voice was clear and bright. Neither haughty nor humble. I was being held by my mother to get some fresh air in the Imperial Garden. This voice sounds familiar, like the seventh prince. Su Qingyu was startled. She quickly tried to carry me away. Too late. The Emperor and the seventh prince's entourage, around the rockery. We came face to face. Greetings, Your Majesty, Your Highness the seventh prince. Su Qingyu quickly bowed in salute. At ease, the Emperor's gaze fell upon me. Has little Lucky Star come too? Xiao Jingyan also looked at me. His gaze was clear and upright, with a hint of curiosity. Wow, the main character. I was excited inside. The living seventh prince, the future emperor himself, so much more handsome than in the portrait. Hitch your wagon to a star. Do it early, Xiao Jingyan. A flicker of confusion passed through his eyes. The future emperor, holding onto the thigh. The emperor's eyes flickered slightly. Jingyang. This is the little princess of the Marquis of Dingyuan's household, quite spirited. Would you like to hold it? Xiao Jingyan was taken aback, but he still stepped forward as instructed, carefully taking me from Su Qingyu's embrace. His movements were a bit stiff, but very gentle, even more handsome up close. I fangirled inwardly. His eyes and brows resemble the emperor's. His nose looks like his late mother's. No wonder so many girls later fell for him desperately. Xiao Jingyan's body suddenly stiffened. He looked down at me in disbelief. The deceased mother. This matter. Almost no one in the palace dares to mention it. This little baby. How do you know? Oh no, I just remembered something. I almost forgot. He is on his way back to the capital. We'll encounter mountain bandits ambushing us, right at Falcon's Fall Gorge, 30 miles west of the city. The timing seems to be tomorrow. The leader with the scarred face, he's the second prince's man. They want to snatch his disaster relief ledger of merits. Kill to silence.
Xiao Jingyan held my hand, suddenly tightened, pupil earthquake, mountain bandits ambush, second imperial brother, merit ledger. He suddenly looked up at the emperor. The emperor's eyes were equally turbulent with shock. But the old fox's face remained unreadable. What's wrong? Jingyan, little princess, is she heavy? Xiao Jingyan took a deep breath, forcing himself to calm down. No, not at all, I just find the little princess quite adorable. He lowered his head to look at me. His gaze was extremely complex, shock, inquiry, and a hint of gratitude. No need to thank me. I felt proud inside. When you become emperor in the future, just look out for my family more. My parents and brothers are all good people. Don't end up as cannon fodder like in the original story. Xiao Jingyan, he almost threw me out. Being the emperor, what is all this about? The emperor coughed heavily. All right. Jingyan, you've had a long journey. Let's return to the residence and rest first. Yes, father. Xiao Jingyan felt as if a weight had been lifted off his shoulders. Quickly, he stuffed me back into Su Qingyue's arms. Like holding a hot potato, he hurriedly took his leave. His retreating figure seemed flustered. The emperor watched his retreating figure, then he looked at me. His gaze was deep and inscrutable. Done, I thought to myself with satisfaction. Thigh alert sent successfully, waiting for the seventh prince to ascend the throne, lying down to win. Su Qingyu held me. My legs went weak. Ancestor, this warning of yours. It's enough to scare someone to death. News of the seventh prince being attacked came through, but it was a close call. The ambushing mountain bandits were completely wiped out. It is said that the seventh prince had long been prepared. The emperor was furious. An order was given for a thorough investigation. The second prince was reprimanded and placed under house arrest. The imperial court was shaken. The crown prince could no longer sit still. He came to the marquis's residence again. This time, he got straight to the point. Ji Yuqing, I wish to adopt the little princess as my goddaughter, grant her the title of princess, enjoying the stipend of a prince. How about it? Ji Yuzhan and Su Qingyu were stunned. Adopt a goddaughter, a princess. How old is the crown prince? This is against the rules of propriety. Clearly, he wants to keep Fu Bao by his side. Eavesdrop nearby. Your Highness, this is against propriety. Ji Yuzhan knelt down. Fu Bao is young and has a thin fortune. I fear he cannot bear your Highness's deep affection. The crown prince's expression darkened slightly. Ji Yuqing is unwilling. The pressure is immense. Ji Yuzhan's forehead was sweating. TCH. I sneered inwardly. Want to be my sugar daddy? In your dreams, I'd rather be your godmother. The whole family, the crown prince, his face turned green. Godmother, you little rascal. Phut. Ji Yunfei couldn't hold back. He burst out laughing. The crown prince shot him a sharp glare. Ji Yunfei quickly lowered his head. His shoulders shook uncontrollably. Your Highness. Ji Yuzhan steeled himself. Fu Bao, she's just a child who speaks without thinking. The crown prince took a deep breath. Gazing at me in the cradle, innocently chewing on my fingers, for the first time, I felt deeply powerless. Can't hit her, can't scold her, and she always drives me half to death. Forget it. The crown prince rose with a flick of his sleeve. This matter shall be discussed later. He stormed off in a huff. His back was fuming with anger. Blah blah blah. I blew bubbles at his retreating figure. That'll teach you. The whole family. Ancestor, please don't add fuel to the fire. Time flies. 3 years later, the emperor is critically ill. The court is in turmoil. The struggle between the crown prince and the seventh prince. The situation is escalating. Finally, the seventh prince, Xiao Jingyan, with the support of the Marquis of Dingyuan's household and some court officials, with thunderous means, took control of the capital. The crown prince was deposed, confined in the imperial clan court. Before the emperor passed away, the throne was passed to the seventh prince. The new emperor ascended the throne. The Marquis of Dingyuan's residence was credited with protecting the emperor. Grace and favor were greater than ever before. Ji Yunjing became the commander of the imperial guards. Ji Yunfei took over the imperial merchant business. Ji Yunlang achieved the top rank in the imperial examinations, entered the Hanlin Academy. As for me, Ji Fubao, became a frequent visitor to the imperial palace, the imperial garden. I toddled on my short little legs. Chasing after a butterfly, the new emperor, Xiao Jingyan, in casual attire, watching with a smile. Fu Bao, slow down, brother Jingyang. I rushed over, holding onto his leg. Your Majesty, I flattered inwardly. Is there any Osman thus cake today? Xiao Jingyan chuckled, bent down and picked me up. Little greedy cat, he pinched my cheek, with an adoring gaze. Yes, plenty to go around. Yay, the emperor is the best. I cheered, 1,000 times better than that foolish crown prince. Xiao Jingyan's smile deepened. In the distance, Ji Yuzhen and Su Qingyu watched, looking utterly helpless. That girl, treating the imperial palace like your own home, showing no respect for seniority. Ji Yunjing was clad in military attire, standing guard by his side, his gaze softened. Ji Yunfei leaned in closer. Father, mother, you said, Fu Bao's inner thoughts, your majesty, can he still hear? Ji Yuzhen and Su Qingyu were taken aback. They looked in that direction. Xiao Jingyan was patiently feeding me Osmanthus cake. His movements were natural, as if he had done it 1,000 times. Ji Yuzhen slowly shook his head. The will of heaven is hard to predict. What if we can't hear it? So what? As long as Fu Bao is happy, peace and joy, that's enough. Su Qingyu smiled gently. Yeah, as long as our precious treasure, worry-free for life, that's good. The afterglow of the sunset shone upon the two figures, one big and one small. Chasing and laughing playfully, warm and tranquil. The Osmanthus cake is so sweet. I squinted contentedly, being a carefree rice bug. How wonderful. The whole family is here, not a single one missing. Perfect. End of book.